I'm Haley Taylor, and you're listening to the Rough Draft Diaries. It's not surprising that our previous interview with the Casey-Pomeroy Bed and Breakfast, a house that has gone through years of remodeling, has led the Rough Draft Diaries to a hardwood store, mill, and warehouse. The store is called Kencraft. It first opened its doors in Toledo in 1965, but it's not really a company, it's actually a family. The store is owned by Ken.
I had a workshop at home, and I built a little workbench for them.
And his son, Tracy.
There's there's basically 4 areas.
Okay.
So we'll just start back here. This is...
Although the family's storefront opened in the 60s, the family business set down its roots in Toledo of the 1940s.
Yes, my dad had 6 brothers, and most of them worked in the machine trade, but they had a woodworking business on the side that as young people, they would get sent over to the brother's house to go help out and do woodworking, and back then they were building storm windows, storm doors. But so it was called the Spatulski Brothers Woodworking way back then, and it was in the old Polish neighborhood is where it was. I sat on the steps and watched, and I learned how to do things. So that's how it sort of started.
When Ken started a family of his own, he decided to keep some of those same traditions alive with his kids.
I had a workshop at home, and I built a little workbench for them, and I had a lot of cutoffs. Tracy and my daughter, they had their workbench, and their little buddies would come over, and they all would pound nails and hit their fingers and glue all over and build things. And we only had one rule, was whatever you built, you had to take home, because I got rid of my scrap wood that way. And all the kids would take things home, and we had glue all over the place, but it didn't matter. Nobody died from it, nobody ate the wood, so we didn't worry about it.
Ken seems proud of his family and of his trade, and I felt kind of silly asking, but I wanted to know if Tracy felt the same way. I've clearly seen far too many movies where sons have to decide whether to join the family business or not. It's always a dramatic affair. Think of Jack in the 1995 film While You Were Sleeping, when he has to explain why he's still staying with the family furniture business.
The business used to be called Callahan and Sons, and then when Peter went off to law school, it became Callahan and Son. If I were to leave, it'd just be Callahan.
Tracy assures me that he is not Jack from the movie While You Were Sleeping. He, like his father, has always enjoyed woodcraft.
I think it started back when I was really maybe elementary school, and we would build make a set of blocks, like building blocks, or a small little boat or something like that, just to tinker with, to get your hands dirty. And then as I got older, like through Cub Scouts, you build the Pinewood Derby cars, that type of thing. But then in junior high is where the shop classes were started, and I was kind of an easy fit to get in there and start working. And I friended the shop teacher right away, and just an easy fit to get in there.
Woodworking is something that could have been an easy fit for me if I wanted it to be. My grandfather and my dad are both avid woodworkers, not by trade, but they enjoy creating pieces by hand. I have a rocking chair and a dollhouse for my grandpa, and my dad created my dresser and my bed when I was 13. I still use them today. It would be easy for me to learn these skills. All I would have to do was ask, but I didn't. And I'm realizing outside of my dad and my grandfather, I don't know of anyone who is familiar with woodworking. Tracy and Ken wouldn't describe it as a lost art, at least not yet, but they have noticed a decline in interest. And they gave their reason as to why.
But I think the lack of things in school doesn't help it any, because we're just not teaching them anything in school. I mean, there's too much on the computer and not enough hands-on. We need both, because a computer by itself doesn't do it. A good example from the museum, there's a fellow comes in here, he teaches an art class at the museum, and the students make the art project, they want to build a frame, but they can't read a ruler. And that's sort of sad, that they need to know how to read a ruler. I mean, it's a real basic thing.
I think there's a little bit of a decline right now. I think it's hit its low part. I think it's going to start to increase now. I think it will. We see a lot of it. I mean, the people that first come in, and then as the years go by, they're building more and more and more, and then they're referring them to their friends, and then maybe their grandchildren or their sons or daughters come in, and We're seeing a little bit increase in women, actually, which is, there's always been some, but we're seeing more lately.
Combining the old with the new can be difficult. I think that's what Kencraft is trying to do, keep the old traditions and customs of woodworking alive, while still connecting with a new generation of people who may not be used to those old hands-on traditions. Every company deals with this at one point. It's the race to stay relevant. But I don't think Kencraft is really fighting for relevancy. I think they're fighting for a lost love. A love that a few may have forgotten about, and hopefully, many will still get a chance to meet. For now, I'm Haley Taylor, and you've been listening to the Rough Draft Diaries.